One of the most common requirements when it comes to cloud infrastructure extensions and customizations is being able to tag all resources that Webiny deploys. This way, it's a bit easier for organizations to identify the resources that Webiny deploys in their AWS account. Fortunately, tagging resources can be easily achieved via the tag resources function, which you're about to see in the following example. So we're going to open our app/core/Webiny application TS file, and in here we'll start by adding a new property here called Pulumi, to which we'll assign an empty function. Note that in general, this is how most of the cloud infrastructure extensions and customizations start. Once we have that, we'll import the tag resources utility function like so, and then use it in our empty function like so. As we can see, what we're doing here is we're tagging all deployed cloud infrastructure resources with two tags, owner and contact. Via these tags, other team members will be able to easily find out who is the owner and who to contact if need be. Note that we've hard-coded the values here, but this could have been easily passed via, for example, an environment variable. In any case, since we've been adding these changes within the core application's Webiny application TS file, we can proceed by deploying the core app by running yarn webiny deploy core, and at the very end we add --env dev. And before running the command, we will also append --deployment logs at the very end, just so we can immediately see the full Pulumi output and see that the changes were actually deployed. Alright, the deployment has finished. So now if we were to open our AWS console and we find this DynamoDB table, sure enough, we can see that the new tags were correctly added, which means our code worked as expected. But do note that only resources deployed as part of the core application will be tagged. So in order to apply the same tags to resources deployed as part of the rest of the applications, API, admin, and website, we'll want to add the same code in their respective Webiny application TS files. But you know what, this might be tricky to maintain in the long run. So instead of copy and pasting the code 3 times, we'll do the following. Within the extensions folder, we'll create a new empty workspace, or in other words, an empty package in which we'll centrally maintain this code and the tags we want. Then we'll simply import the code in all of the 4 Webiny application TS files. An empty workspace can be created easily, again via the Webiny scaffold command. So in our terminal, we'll run the Webiny scaffold command, and from the list of all available scaffolds, we'll choose empty workspace. Similarly to the new extension scaffold, here we are also presented with a set of questions related to our new workspace. For starters, we have the workspace name, so let's call it Pulumi, so that here we can actually place more cloud infrastructure Pulumi related code in the future, and not just the tagging feature we're working on here. For the workspace location and package name, let's go with the defaults, and for npm dependency, let's add webiny/pulumi-aws package. Alright, now that our workspace has been created, in the src/index.ts file, we can place the following code. As we can see, it's basically the same code we had before, only this time we've exported the apply tags function, which makes the same tag resources function call and which we can now use in all 4 Webiny application TS files. So for starters, let's go into core applications Webiny application TS file and replace the existing code with the following. And it's pretty much the same thing with the remaining 3 Webiny application TS files. For example, for the API project application, in its Webiny application TS file, we'll end up with the following. Again, in the function assigned to the Pulumi property, we are calling our apply tags function so that the tags are applied to all resources deployed as part of the API project application. Since it's the same thing for the remaining 2 Webiny application TS files, we'll just stop here. But of course, in case you need the full example, the code is linked in the description of this video, so make sure to check it out. Finally, before we end this video, we'll just mention that whenever there's a need to have a single code being reused in multiple Webiny application TS files, we can use again the same approach we used here. We can even continue adding new code in the Pulumi workspace we created in this video. Keeping it like this might make it easier for other developers to quickly find the code they need, especially as the codebase gets larger.